Hi, welcome to the small shed. Today we're making wooden cars again. See you in a minute. Now, because we're on lockdown, I can't get the pallet wood Land Rover finished over at Menin Sheds. This is a slightly different version. This is smaller cars. Our local wood turning group has decided that it would be good for something to do while the lockdown is going on, for people to make some small wooden cars that they're going to run down a ramp and see how far they travel. Really, it's just a little competition they've devised to keep us occupied, I think. I'm making 3 cars, different sizes, different shapes, just to see how I get on. You're allowed to make up to 3 for the competition. So I'm going to start off making first one out of a mahogany or sapele type body, and then I'll move on to the oak, which is heavier, for the other 2. But we'll start off making the first one. Have a look at the rules. We've actually got a schematic drawing given to us, and that will be the one I'm going to make first. It's a great idea, really, in that these challenges are always good to take you out of your comfort zone, take you into areas you wouldn't normally go into, because you're doing something you wouldn't normally want to do out of choice, and from that you gain a certain amount of knowledge all the while. So let's have a look and make a start on these. So that's the suggested car shape. It's basically a turned tube with 4 wheels and a few. It's got to have a driver. There are some rules, and I tend to want to always read the rules carefully so I can see what I can get away with, not what I have to do. The rules themselves are, it has to be a solid turned body, either spit turned or a full cigar shape. Maximum length 160 millimeters. That is also pretty obvious. Maximum wheel diameter 40 millimeters. Must include a wooden driver, and by implication it only has to be a token model of it. Must include a wooden driver, yes. Must be all wood except 4 screws to hold wheels onto body, and that again is fairly important. I can't put any lead loading or weights in it or anything like that. Mass was the main important thing. Basic physics, that the heavier it is, the more it wants to go downhill. So I'm going to use some of the oak that I had from the finial I turned for the greenhouse, because it was incredibly heavy and incredibly dense. So I shall go with that. But one thing I did pick up on, which is an extra thing I hadn't thought about with mass, is that if you have a ramp with a car on it at the top of the ramp, and it's just a straightforward block, it has a mass which will travel down that hill, no problem, and it starts from, you know, whatever height the centre of gravity is, which is in the middle. If it is a car which is shaped with all of the weight in a bulb, if you like, at the back, that centre of gravity is higher up the ramp at the start of the race, and therefore you'll get much further distance travelled with it. So let's start on with making some wheels for all 3 of the cars, and because they're all 40 mil, I can just turn it out at one solid lump. So let's go and get that going first. Now I've got a piece of I don't know what it is, whether it's sapele, I don't think it's mahogany. It's fairly heavy, very dense timber. that's 45mm square, so that will give me an ideal base to work from, and it's very, very close grained as well, and that's important because it will give me a good chance of getting a good surface on the centre of the axle to work with the axle itself, get the lubrication in. A big open softwood is not going to be quite as nice as what is effectively almost a metal on metal contact if it's really hard. Just find the centre of this and then we can get it chucked up in the lathe. .43mm, so that's a good starting point, and that is 43.5, 43. Well, I have to say I'm incredibly pleased with that. I didn't realise quite how easy I would find turning a 40mm spindle that long. I assumed it would be up and down all the way, but that is now sitting at 40mm absolutely bang on. 40 maybe .01. 40 again, maybe 0.01. There's just a fraction to come off there, but it's, you know, 1/10 of a millimetre. So that's a result as far as I'm concerned. I just did not expect to be able to turn something flat and straight. Yep, it's absolutely bang on all the way along. Really chuffed with that. So then we can start and turn the wheels off. Now I've marked off the first 4 wheels. They're about 9mm wide. I'll trim those to width later. And I might well make those traditionally as they were expecting us to, with a rounded top on them. I'm just moving on now to do another 4 which will be very thin, and I'll probably make those a point so that there's very little contact with the ground. Right, so now I've got the proper tired wheels. They're all the same width. Now the remaining 2, 4, 6, 8, which will be another 2 cars worth, I think I'm going to put a point on those, so I'll do the same. I'll put a mark in the middle with a pencil, as long as I don't erase that with chisel. I'll know that I've still got the original centre line 40mm, and then I can just thin them down ready to part off. And there's a pair at the end here that I'm going to do like a trike 3-wheeler, 2 at the front, 1 at the back, only I'm going to do 1 at the back with a pair of wheels, so these 2 wheels will actually remain together with the centre part there, and then there'll just be 1 axle going through them, so that'll be in the middle of the back. So it will be a 3-wheeler bit in character, but it will actually have 4 wheels. Right, so that's the wheel blanks turned. I've got 5 for the standard race car that I've got a drawing for. I've got a set of effectively 3, but there's 4 wheels there in theory for the trike, and a set of 4 for the other car that I'm going to make. These are slightly thinner than the car wheels, and I'm just going to turn those basically once they're on a mandrel to a very sharp point on the edge. But they're all 40mm diameter, which is good, which is maximum size. stick with the easy stuff, get the low-hanging fruit done first. I'm just going to turn the little driver. It's 19mm diameter on that one. I've got some 19mm dowel left over from these spindles that I've been doing for a friend. They're in oak, so that'll fulfill all the requirements. We'll turn a little man's head. I'll probably again do 3 of them at the same time, just to save time. Right, and we've now got 3 drivers. Not the best, but they're at least there. They're in oak. Now it's time to get the body blanks cut and get those on the lathe, and we're well on the way. Right, now I've decided to do the body in this sapele that I've got because it's already a 50 by 50 blank and it needs to be 50 by 50 at the widest part. So I've got it ready to go in the lathe. First of all, I've got to vertically drill a 19mm hole in the top, and I've got to mark off the sides for some axles. Now I'm not showing a huge amount of the wood turning itself, partly because I really don't know what I'm doing with regard to wood turning, so I wouldn't want anybody to think this is the way it should be done. I'm learning and learning by my mistakes as I go, but I have included a few shots just to show the progress. And then, having made the main body shape, I moved on and turned a little bit of doweling down to make an exhaust pipe for the side of the car that was required as well. So we've got the main body now sanding sealed. Just got to do a tiny bit of sanding on the man to fit him in. Axles fit in okay. Got to finish the wheels off, but they'll be going on there. So we're pretty much there with the first one. So that's it for the first one. We've got the components made, and I can start and get those assembled in the next episode. I'm also going to turn 2 more bodies, as I said, in oak, and hopefully we'll get onto those next week. So I look forward to seeing you then, and hope you enjoyed the video. See you next week. Bye.